But the Hebrew Bible believes in like the Sheol, like the underworld. So it could just be some sort of underworld. But yeah, it could be possible there's another sun down there. Whatever. Anything's possible. Anyway, so it looks like on Google Earth, they're kind of covering something up towards the very like top of the North Pole. Like it looks like the elevation is like going lower, but they just like painted it over with just like blue.
I think they're whitewashing something that we're not supposed to see.
That's a possibility. I mean, they blur out a lot of the other islands that are up there. And then they say it's because of the camera, the balloon satellite or whatever the fuck can't get proper picture of it. They'll be like, oh yeah, it's blurry because it's too far up or whatever. I don't know.
That could be a legit map, but like all the other land masses look completely different. I can't identify any of them.
Is someone saw Africa and South America coastlines, they're like, oh, that looks like it fits together. I'm gonna make a theory and make it work.
But they might have drew it to look like that. They might have said, hey, let's make these look like puzzle pieces and we'll spread them apart and then we could have this bullshit theory. Because these people are clever, man. They're not stupid. They've thought about
it's like a puzzle where only two pieces fit together. The rest of the pieces don't.
Now they kind of do, but they broke apart. Like even where by India, some of those pieces, if you like back them up, it looks like they'll stitch together. Not perfect, mind you, but they do look like they can fit. It's a wild ass speculation,
Well, everything is
back then. We'd have to go back to the beginning of time, and it's impossible to do that.
Yeah, we'd have to do that for every single idea everyone has, though, because it's all speculation.
We got to go with what we have today and try and make the best of it. Because who knows if the maps are actual shapes of what they look like? I have no idea if the United States looks like this or not. That's just what we've been presented. We don't know that.
Cultures about their observations of the heavens, it kind of contradicts a lot of shit they were talking about, but they seem like they don't really know what the hell you're talking about. You know exactly what the hell they're talking about, how come they came up with their model. But when you're like, hey, well, here's what I'm talking about. These observations were made on a flat earth, but you act like that I don't know how your ancestors or whatever, gods that you have in your model came up with the heliocentric bullshit. I actually know how they did it, and I actually go and I studied the ancient cultures, and they had a different idea. So what do you have to say about that? And it's like, shut down. Well, science, man. It's fucking science, bro.
Because I'm just like, already NASA's bullshit. They're fucking corrupt. If it's run by humans, they're going to be corrupt and fuck it up. And they're going to look to, and they're greedy, and they're going to, the higher up and the more money you have, the more you can control people. It's going to happen, no matter what.
Maybe
so during the day, it's flat then, and at night, I'm walking on it.
Yeah, when it's flat during the day. It's flat when you look up, but it's around when you look up, and it's flat when you look across.
Yeah. Well, all the ancients, they looked up, and that's what they use as stars. So they had it right. I mean, we can't like agree with them on some things and then not the others. I mean, pretty much their whole basis
didn't say it was
is
round. They just
stars and
have to navigate continent to the other by observing the stars at certain times of the year because of their position in the sky. They didn't assume that they were on a round Earth. Where did you come up with that?
No, I was just talking about since the beginning of time, they are beginning of actually critically thinking and navigating. They looked up. I didn't say about anything about a sphere or anything. I was just talking about they looked up to get information.
Yeah, that's very smart. I mean, they were smart as we are. They weren't just dumb ancient retards.
Took over fucking planes and like thwarted a NORAD system. Four
planes, yeah, 4.
NORAD.
Well, I say 3 because there was not one in Pennsylvania. There was no plane to be.
No, yeah, you're right.
Well, there's no plane at the Pentagon either. So
yeah, I mean that plane went through 9 walls. It was like a 16-foot hole. That's one hell of a plane.
Yeah, and actually, I've come to the conclusion there was no planes anywhere. The whole thing was complete fake style.
I'm okay with the remote control version because it's kind of, but that one entry of that plane going through and it just kind of melds in, that's fucking with my head, man.
It can't
But then
go through steel. I mean, it's an aluminum plane. It can't just absorb into the building. And it can't fly that fast at 1,000 foot above the ground either. John Lear, one of the engineers of the Lear jet, of the engines of those planes, told you. I mean, he has testimony where he said, no, they cannot fly at that speed.
No.
Low altitude.
Yeah,
the whole plane would fall apart before it even hit the building.
Yeah,
Anyway.
it has a thing called wobble, or there's a more technical name, but the only thing I can remember was wobble. But
yeah, I mean, they're over at 1,000 feet above the ground, traveling 500 and 600 miles an hour.
Yeah, that's crazy. It could in a straight dive, but parallel with the ground, hell no.
Well, and even if they were trying to hit the building, if the pilot was talented enough to actually, well, and there was 2 of them apparently that were able to fly these fucking huge jets at 1,000 feet above the ground at 500 miles an hour and bank them into and just boom, it's just.
Yeah.
Well, and not only that, the building collapsed at free fall speed.
For real, and Building 7.
One plane hit them.
Building 7 was crazy. And I can't believe anyone after Building 7. Everyone should be a fucking saying what the fuck.
Hey, so I'm a glober and I have a question about the Earth, if it was flat, because I'm looking at some of your stuff here and I would like to know more about it.
JIMJOE, you were just here, bro.
Yeah,
ask your question. We didn't forget you.
All right, so if you're so if the Earth is flat, like what keeps the water in? Is there like an ice wall, or is there
You
like a wall?
answered your own question.
Oh, there's an ice wall. Interesting.
It'd be a container of some sort, right?
I mean, you guys are talking about like,
we're in a positive pressure environment. There's something.
and also if the Earth is flat, then how is there like day and night?
Okay, that is because the sun is small and close. It's a local light. And atmosphere, or as I like to call it, an atmoplane, because it's not a sphere, it's a plane. Environment, as they said, we live in a pressurized environment, and the atmoplane, or the air that you breathe, is actually considered a fluid. Not a liquid, but a fluid. It is fluid. There is moisture in the air, and there is so much moisture in the air horizontally across the plane, you know, that you're looking through the most dense, thickest part of the atmosphere, right?
Yeah, but like
particles, everything is down on the lowest level, sea level.
If you shine a flashlight on a flat surface, it would cover that whole flat surface if it was in the right position.
It depends on how big the light is and how big the plane is, right?
Yeah.
And how many lumens that light supplies.
I mean, the sun is
talking about with the moisture in the air. Think about it this way. Let me explain it to you this way. This is the way I like to think about it. Think about when you watch like those documentaries about the ocean or like the deep sea, and they have those submersibles, right? And so they launch the submersible into the sea, and the first, like, I don't know what it is, like 200 feet of the sea, that's the daylight. That's the daylight layer, the twilight layer. And then it's like the midnight and, you know, zero light. The further you go, the less light there is, right? So that's the same thing that I see happening across the plane, right? Except on a much larger scale. In the water in the sea, that's really dense water. So you're going to see that happen real fast. It only takes a few hundred feet for the sun to disappear. But here on the plane, we observe that is about a 6,000 mile radius, right? If it's doing half the plane at a time.
Oh, I see what they mean now. You're way unreasonable. I'm joking. That was a joke.
With enough moisture and like water and stuff, right? Water is a fairly like reflective surface. So it would light up more, wouldn't it? Like it wouldn't just have like the dark, like twilight and dark spots.
Wait, let me ask you this, Remy. Do you know where the sun is?
Yeah, it's in our solar system.
Where?
Ooh, you gotcha.
Well, to be extremely specific. It is
so little
92.96
specific.
million miles away from our Earth.
So from the ground, you can tell. How did they come up with that calculation? How do they know where this?
So it's how do I explain this reasonably? So it's a calculation, right, where like you take the magnification of whatever you're using to look at it, and the angle of the elevation, and then the angle of depression, and then from there you can kind of work out the distance from there using the Pythagorean theorem. This probably took a long time in a lot of supercomputers because this is like it's a lot. Big numbers are gonna deal. What's funny about
Big
it?
numbers on computers with the Pythagorean theorem.
What's funny about it?
The amount of time.
Well, if you don't know, then I just can't help you.
I can do that on paper in minutes.
Not with the numbers they were going to be dealing with.
Such as?
The almost infinitely repeating decimals they would have from the angle and stuff they would be viewing it from, the magnification.
Have a good old-fashioned math.
Or angular velocity?
The infinite light source.
Well, the sun is not infinite. Eventually, one day it's going to burn out and Earth will die.
How
Is
do
that
you
gonna
know
happen?
that?
That's another thing too, like the sun being untangible. I'm not cool with that. Like
Okay, well, I mean, the Earth. So if the sun is gas, right, and a lighter uses gas, when that lighter runs out of gas, it doesn't work anymore. Just dies. Well, in the sun's case, it's gonna blow up and pretty much destroy our entire solar system. But I mean,
Watch this. When I drink my cup of coffee here, watch. When I drink my cup of coffee, the coffee's gonna go down and it's gonna be empty. Watch.
What's gonna happen?
That's how
And
that's
it's
how
empty.
life works.
I don't know.
How? How do you know that?
Because I can see it with my eyes, and it's factual. I don't
Did
need
you
someone
see
to
that
tell
happen?
me.
But
Did you
that's not how
see
the
a
sun-
sun explode and destroy a planet? Did you see that?
I mean, you could
Doesn't
see
make-
if you look through a telescope, you could see stars exploding.
You've looked through a telescope and
and
you saw a
black
sun
holes.
explode and kill a planet?
No, I
Star
haven't looked
Wars.
through a fucking telescope that
Star
far.
Wars.
You're not understanding
Star
what
Wars.
I'm talking about here. So listen. They can look into other solar systems with a very powerful telescope. I don't know if you noticed or not, but there's this thing called NASA. I know you guys don't
What's
like
that?
them much.
Never
because
heard
Can
of
you
it.
get
there's
me
a
some
lot of-
pictures of that? Can you get me some photographs of those planets?
Is that like tapas?
Mhm.
What's a nap?
I mean, they're not very good photographs because they're so far away and
Like
technology
force or
hasn't come that
They're
far.
also not photographs.
Well, they are photographs.
Got him. Nail him down. Yeah. Strap him to the board. Got that.
If anything.
Start.
I see the
So you
photograph.
said they were what? Did you say photographs? So they took photos? Like from a camera?
Why would I show you guys pictures if there's evidence in the moon? Like, if you look at the moon, there's a reason it's full of craters. Because
There's a reason it's full of what?
Asteroids?
craters.
Because asteroids?
Yes, because so when the sun explodes, right, it's gonna start
Yes.
throwing chunks,
You get
huge
me.
chunks, and our Earth
You
is
had
not
me
gonna
at
actually.
craters.
Okay. So it's gonna
And
start
chunks.
throwing like chunks off, right? Like an asteroid, and that asteroid's gonna be traveling extremely fast. Once it hits the our atmosphere here, it's basically gonna fry the Earth because of how hot it's gonna be, plus the impact
Oh.
crater. Yeah, it's
Or
gonna be-
happened before.
I mean, you can look at the moon. There's craters and
Oh, no, I
stuff,
saw. I've
from
seen that. I've heard that
asteroid
story. I
and
saw that
stuff, and
movie. It
space.
was a really cool movie, man.
The craters
Especially
that
like
we
the
see
part
on
where-
the moon from Earth,
Mhm.
okay, those craters are all 90 degrees out from on the surface of the moon. Go through Earth and hit the moon, or how did that work? Did the craters come from Earth?
No. Well, they could have possibly come from Earth. But it's probably
A crater
highly
possibly
unlikely.
come from Earth, or a meteor.
Space debris. When the Earth formed with a Big Bang,
Debris.
a lot of debris was thrown and at a very high speed, and it smashes into stuff, and that usually creates a big hole in the ground. Velocity, usually
Hit
creates a crater.
all of them hits the moon's surface at 90 degrees.
Well, no, Earth has craters too, similar to the
Really?
moon's. If you would like to look at those.
A crater that has a skid mark.
Why? No craters have skid marks. What are you talking about?
They
Why
have
don't
pimples,
they?
too. They
If
have
it
pimples.
does, it's from the small rocks
The
sliding
Earth has
across it,
pimples
or
with pus in it. It's called a volcano. So therefore, the Earth must be made of.
Wait a minute. I saw on Superman when he came down from
It's
Krypton,
funnier when memes.
Okay,
that
well,
left a
now,
big trail.
so now
and
you
then
guys are just being
had-
unreasonable here and not presenting facts to back up your claims.
Dude, you're not presenting facts, dude. You're like telling this story that sounds
But the
so irrational.
but the
and out-
moon
Everything you
the
say
moon
starts,
is a
it could
fact.
be, it could be this, it could be that.
You can see the moon though with your own eyes.
Yeah.
And you can look at it with a telescope,
Look at the same
right?
moon as you, and I don't
And you can see
agree
there's
with how it's
craters in
made.
it.
That's all.
Oh, so then it's made of cheese then, right?
Well, how are you able to see all this detail on a cheese that's 250,000 miles away? Do you think you can see, unless it's way bigger than, you go put a cheese up there at 250,000 miles away and you blow it
A
up,
telescope?
to what size will you be able to see that kind of detail at 250,000 miles away? You see detail on the moon, right? No, I'm just asking if you understand, if you can tell me how my eyes work when I look up versus looking sideways. Cool.
I'm talking
See a
about
lot of detail.
using. I'm talking about using.
No,
a
I'm talking about
telescope.
not even with the telescope. When you go look at the moon, you can see these details on the moon at 250,000 miles away.
Oh yeah, you could see
You're
the
telling me
larger impact
that's what
craters.
you're saying.
That would make sense.
Just want an explanation. How that works with our eyes, light, yeah, resolution,
Uh-huh. Well, so the moon is pretty reflective, reflects light off the sun, and that's how you can see it with your eyes.
well, let me simplify. I think what Harry was talking about. We're talking about there's a crater on the moon that's 50 miles wide. When if you take into account the inverse square law, and that some bitch is 250,000 miles away approximately, it's a little bit less. Would you be able to see something 50 miles wide from 240,000 miles away?
It would probably depend on how deep it is. It would have a shadow, because of the light would not be able to, like shine on that because it would have the raised walls, obviously, because it's an impact crater. So what you're basically seeing is a shadow. That's why there's a darker spot there.
That was not an answer. Can you see something 50 miles wide? If it doesn't matter about whether it has a trail leading up to it, whether it was an impact crater or not. It is a crater on the moon that's 50 miles wide that we can see with our naked eyes. As a matter of fact, I was just looking at the moon a minute ago, and I can see the damn crater with my naked
You can
eye.
see it. You just answered your own question there.
But you're telling me it's 238,000 miles away. I disagree because I don't think I could see something 50 miles wide with my naked eye.
The human body is a wonderful thing.
Do you know why arts are taught as an elective in school? Do you know why it's an elective, like drawing, sketching, music? Do you know why these things are electives?
Because it might not
Because
be
it
some
puts
people's
everything
thing.
into perspective. Because it puts everything in life into perspective. That's why they're treated like that. It's just an elective is not important. So understanding the way you see the world, hear the world, feel the world. These arts are taught as elective, is not important. Therefore, that's why I don't think you understand how perspective works, because you're not understanding the question. You know what I mean? Or you just deliberately
What do you
something.
mean I'm not understanding the question? You're saying that it's impossible to see something
Okay, let me
that's
try another
big from
example,
that
right?
far away?
Let me try another example. Let's take a plate. Well, no, let's take a like a pizza. All right, let's take a pizza and let's put a
Mm-hmm.
pepperoni on it, and let's call that the crater. No matter of fact, let's dig a hole in this pizza and call that the crater and put it in front of us, right? When you
Mm-hmm.
start pulling that pizza away from you, that crater that will start shrinking down to a certain point. So let's say that you pull it back 1 mile. Now you can't see the pizza at all. So you have to blow up that pizza in order for you to see the same details that you saw when it was closer to you. As you pull this pizza farther and farther away, you'll keep running into the same problem. You have to keep scaling it up, scaling it up, scaling it up. What happens when you reach 250,000 miles and you still have to see
Uh,
the same detail? How
well,
big will that pizza be
well, you wouldn't be
in
able
order
to
for
see
you?
it because of how small it is. The only reason you could see the moon is because it's on such a massive scale.
Exactly. Now, you take 250,000 miles, take what you see when you look at this pizza at 250,000 miles away, and you scale that up, and you will see that it is like way, it is almost as big as the sun, according to what we see. But you're saying we're looking,
I mean, looking
we're
at it,
using,
you're
you're
probably
saying we
just
can
looking at the shadow
magnify.
there. The moon
That's
is
what I'm
pretty
saying. I don't think
bright
you understand
and reflective.
perspective. You understand how perspective works, and how the horizon works, and vanishing lines, converge.
Well, seeing as you are a flat earther and I believe that the earth is round, obviously we have two very different definitions of
No,
that,
we
so I
don't.
don't
Okay,
think
let
that
me
would be
explain to you
fair.
something. Leonardo da Vinci and every person that takes any art class understands perspective. They have to. Any architect you talk to will take these classes. Anyone who designs any kind of building, any material, has to understand perspective. Carpenters need to understand perspective. So what you're saying is totally not true. Any glober, any flat earther should understand perspective. It's not a flat earth thing, man. It's a reality thing. You know what I'm saying? What else you got?
I mean, you answered the question I came for, and we went to a pretty deep conversation, and you're pretty respectable, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, but do you understand? Do you get where we're coming from?
Yeah, I understand.
Well, I hope you can appreciate and look into it.
I have been
Thanks.
looking into it. It's interesting. Thank you for your time.